everybody, welcome back. So today we're going to start a new series. I'm going to be talking about chemical disruptors. Things that we're putting into the body or being exposed to in our environment that might be playing an impact on our health. So as you all know, I'm about to complete, I'm almost done with my Integrative Institute of Nutrition Health Coaching program. And in that program, we had a ton of guest speakers. And one of the speakers that we had, Dr. Leslie James, she's kind of a women's health expert. And she came in and was talking to us about just that, things that will disrupt women's health and thyroid health. And so one of the things she mentioned was chemical disruptors. Now, I kind of heard this on podcast and had thought a little bit about it. And I had already started making a shift toward clean makeup and skincare, and also like thinking about the cleaning products that I used. But she really enlightened me a little bit about all of the things that this can actually impact for us. I'm going to be referring to my computer because I have there's a lot of information and I don't want to get anything wrong. So if you see me looking back and forth, that's what I'm doing. So she expressed some things they had been studying about environmental toxins, and there was 4 big areas that she had focused on. And first of all was things that disrupt the endocrine system. So that's like our thyroid. That's like that whole system that releases every hormone that makes our body function. So that's a pretty big deal. Secondly is the early puberty. Early puberty is a big problem that we're seeing in our society today, and there's studies to show that these environmental toxins can help lead to that. And then thirdly, in the research that she had done, women and children are more susceptible to these chemicals than others. So women and children are at a greater risk. And then they're seeing some generational impact. So things I'm exposed to, I'm passing down to my children and so on. So we may not have seen the tip of the iceberg with this whole problem at this point, because it's just now becoming a big issue. And as time goes, we don't really know the impact it may have on the future generations. I think this is all quite alarming. I think we have to really wake up. I think we sit with our head in the sands and we don't realize all the things we're being exposed to. So things in our food, things in our furniture, things in our cleaning supplies, skincares. I mean, you kind of get the picture. There's a ton of everyday things that we use that have chemicals that our body don't know what to do with. They don't understand. They don't know how to register it. And so I think it's something that we really need to focus on. So for this topic today, I kind of did some research. And you guys know I refer a lot to the Environmental Working Group because they have a lot of good information and they do tons and tons and tons of research. So while I was going through looking, I wanted to kind of give you guys the main chemical disruptors that we need to be worried about. And I found this great article by them that is like, they kind of do everything in 12s. You know, they have the dirty dozen. Well, this is the 12 biggest chemicals we should be concerned about. And so I'm going to put a link to that down below. And I'll also put a link to Dr. Leslie James' website. She has a lot of things on her website that you guys might be interested in. But there are 12 chemicals that they have been studying and their impact on the body. So I'm just going to, the article went into a ton of detail. I'm going to kind of try to give you the chemical, what it is and where it's found, and then the problems that it causes for us. Now, on their article, they give you tons of advice on ways to avoid. And we may briefly summarize some things at the end, but if you want to deep dive, that's a good article to read. All right, so let's jump in. So first and foremost is BPA. Now this is a huge buzz, and you guys know that as of late, everything you buy says BPA free, and is a big common chemical in plastics. And there's some other places though that I didn't recognize that it shows up in, and that's like the receipts that you get from the store are coated with a BPA. Can linings, like canned foods. Now, I do know a lot of them now are saying BPA free, but I think it's something to be aware of. So I'm bad to want the receipt. Maybe we should stop taking those. Just as much as we can stay away from that, the better. And it's been found to be linked to cancers, reproductive problems, obesity, early puberty, and heart disease. All right, number 2, dioxin. This is a chemical that is formed during the industrial process. And the thing with it is it builds up over time. So it'll build up in your body the more you're exposed to it. And it also builds up in our food supply. Now, I was going to tell you a little story. And on down, we're going to talk about arsenic. But we used to go to Denver and do mission work. And we went to a place one of the years we were there called the Grow House. And they were in an area where the land had been contaminated by industrial practice, and the people couldn't grow their own food there. So they were kind of in a food desert. So there are places where you can actually ruin the soil and not be able to continue to grow food, which can become a problem if that becomes too widespread. So this is a big deal. Number 3, atrazine. This is a herbicide that is used mainly on corn crops. And it's been linked to breast tumors, delayed puberty, and prostate inflammation. Number 4 is phthalates. This is also a chemical used in plastics, but also in children's toys and personal care products, as well as plastic wraps. So this chemical, it just really blows my mind. This chemical in our body actually signals cell death. So if you get too much of this building up, it can lead to all kinds of hormone disruption, decreased sperm counts, obesity, thyroid irregularities, and diabetes. So this is a pretty big one. Number 5, perchlorate. And this is a component of rocket fuel. And unfortunately, it is often found in amounts in our water as well as in milk. So I guess where the animals drink water, then it gets into their bodies, and then it actually comes out into the milk supply. And this competes with iodine in the body, which ends up disrupting the thyroid. Number 6 is something I never in a million years thought about, but in the 70s, a lot of furnitures, mattresses, couches, everything began to be treated to be fire retardant. And the chemicals that they use to make them fire retardant actually cause disruption in the body. So you think about it, you're sitting on a couch every day, you're sleeping on a mattress every night, and all of these things contain chemicals that called PBDEs. And so studies have been done, and this is actually found in women's breast milk. So we're absorbing this chemical into our bodies, and these are big endocrine disruptors as well. Number 7 is lead. Now lead is the chemical that was once common in paints and things like that. I think they've backed off, of course, on all of that, and you're really careful when you get rid of lead paint, like if you move into an old house. But over time, this has found its way into our water supply. So I think it's a good idea to really filter your water and maybe have your water tested and see if there's any harsh chemicals there. It is responsible for many, many health concerns, including high blood pressure, diabetes, anxiety, depression, and children are really at risk with this particular heavy metal. Next is arsenic. Now, if we talk about arsenic, we all know that that's a poison, right? But it is also often found in our water supply, and it leads to diabetes, growth retardation, osteoporosis, and high blood pressure. Next is mercury. Mercury is a naturally occurring toxic metal, and this is commonly found in seafood. So I think more people are trying to consume fish and seafoods to be healthy, but there is a balance there with mercury, especially when in farmed raised fisheries. So we have to be careful about that. And it is, pregnant women are particularly susceptible to this. In fact, I remember when I was pregnant, I think for sure with Lindsay, they recommended me be careful about how much tuna I ate and how much seafood I consumed in a week. It leads to problems, damage to the cells in the pancreas, and then eventually to diabetes. And it also can lead to problems with the developing fetus. That's why the pregnant women thing. All right, number 10 is PFCs. And this is common in non-stick cookware. I don't know about you guys, but I've probably consumed a ton of this in my life, because you would buy the non-stick skillet and we would use ours until that stuff started flaking off, which is so gross when I think about it now. But that's just what we had, and that's what we did. But this also has a strong impact on the thyroid, and it decreases sex hormones. Next, this is going to be a hard one to say, organophosphate. Ooh, I got it. pesticides. Now, pesticides are commonly used today in farming practices, but these cause tons of problems in the body. Our body doesn't recognize this when we eat the food that's been sprayed with the pesticide, so it ends up leading to thyroid dysfunction. It can lead to decreased testosterone, and this is why I'm on the organic vegetable bandwagon. I try to do organic as much as I can. And like we talked about when we were talking about food labeling, really and truly, the organic is the only label that the people are actually inspected and held to a higher standard. So, I mean, it's a few cents difference most of the time, so I think it's worth the investment. And then finally, number 12 is called glycol ethers. And this is a chemical that's found in paint, cleaning products, and cosmetics. Now, I don't know about you guys, but glycol ethers, I'm really not sure what that would benefit us in our cosmetics, but it's there. It has a huge impact on fertility and can cause increased incidences of asthma and allergies. And again, children are more susceptible with this. So as I was reading through this list and just kind of those main side effects and things that can be disrupted in the body, I thought about all of the increased incidences we have of cancers, thyroid conditions, and that one strikes close to my home because my oldest daughter has Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid gland. And I mean, I just have to think, was it potentially caused by something she was exposed to, maybe foods we were eating, whatever, and could we have prevented that? I think that there are many things that we should step back and look at that have developed over the last 20 to 30 years that were not a problem in the past. Cancer affects people of all ages, and I guess it always has, but it's so prevalent now. And also, like I said, the thyroid conditions, and just so many people like me, they just don't feel well. We're just having problems with energy and depression and anxiety, and it just makes you wonder if a lot of the things we're being exposed to in the environment and the foods we're eating are contributing to these health concerns. So, like I said, the article gave a lot of tips on each individual product, but let me just say, or each individual chemical, I should say. So they gave you all kinds of tips to how to avoid. But some big things that you can do is filter your water. You can try to buy organic produce as much as you can, or as much as you have access to in your area. And I've even started doing like organic sheets, and I'm going to get an organic mattress. So I think, and they're no more expensive. So here's what I thought. I thought, well, that's great, but that's probably going to cost $1,000 more. The mattress that I'm looking at costs less than the one I have on my bed now. So I think a lot of times in our minds we think that organic or natural products that don't have all of this is going to cost a lot more money, and that's just not true. So I just encourage you to research whatever you're going to purchase and try to do the best you can with what money you have to purchase well. I think just trying to avoid some of these things like the nonstick cookware, store your food in glass instead of plastic, and avoid the plastic wraps, and don't reheat food in plastic. That's a big one, because when you heat the plastic, it really releases the chemical. And let me just say something here. A lot of things are BPA free now, but trust me, it's probably been replaced with another chemical. Maybe something worse. We don't even know yet, and eventually that'll come out. So that your best bet is glass. Get rid of the plastic and just go glass. And then when you talk about your storage bags and stuff, I think the little stasher bags are great, and they're reusable, so you're also helping the environment there. So there's so many little tricks that you can do, plus they're going to save you money over the long haul. So just take these few steps. As much as we can limit our exposure to these chemical disruptors, the better it's going to be for our health. I know that there's no way we can completely cut out all exposure, but I'm doing the best I can. That's all we can do. This was a pretty lengthy video, and there's a lot of information here, so I'll make the links below that you can check out. I will encourage you guys to come back. We're going to be talking about skincare and makeup and things like that going forward, like some brands and products that you can use to help kind of replace if you're interested in moving away from some of the traditional things. So check us out in those. If you like this video and enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.